Welcome to the Wicked Majesty channel. Today, we bring you a story that will send shivers down your spine. It's a tale of horror and despair, of bravery and sacrifice. It's the story of several soldiers who found themselves trapped in concentration camps not as prisoners of war but as subjects of a secret experiment. What happened to them was beyond imagination, beyond reason, and yet they fought back and clung to the last vestiges of humanity. They dared to defy their oppressors, but all their efforts were in vain. The experiment had unleashed forces that no one could control. Forces that would ravage their bodies, their minds, their souls. Forces that would lead to bone-chilling events that will meet their demise. Are you ready to hear this story? Are you brave enough to witness what happened to these soldiers and join us on this journey? But be warned, once you enter this world, there's no turning back.
Some events are hard to forget and even harder to recall due to the horrible nightmares that come in our dreams. The year was 1943, and I was one of the scientists who would test new theories on prisoners at the CIA's secret facility. Every day, new prisoners were brought in and tested daily at the CIA's secret facility's gas chambers. I, along with the team of scientists, came up with a new type of gas that was an experimental gas which, when comes into contact, would not let anyone sleep for days. The CIA placed several of its interrogation and mind control programs under the direction of a single program, known by the code named Cultra. At first, it was tested on animals to see what the results were, but after achieving success in animals, we decided to bring in human test subjects to test this gas. My work at the facility was to look after the test subjects that were being held in the facility for any weird symptoms or their reactions to the experiments done on them. All the preparations were made for the test subjects. All the procedures were decided, that how long the test would last, it was all planned out. All that was left was for the day of the experiment to arrive. 5 prisoners were chosen according to certain physical and mental criteria. They were not provided with any information as to what the experiment was. They were just told that they had to stay in a bunker in a facility for a few days and that they would be monitored throughout the experiment. The thing that made the prisoners accept the experimentation was that they were offered freedom in return. The prisoners were of the thought that it might be a harmless experiment and that they would get proper food and a nice place to sleep and probably freedom, but who would have thought that the walls of that bunker would be the last thing they ever see? The day came when the life of those test subjects would be in trouble, but those poor souls were unaware of the upcoming disaster in their lives. Everything was prepped and ready, and the prisoners were kept in a sealed environment where their oxygen levels were closely monitored so that the gas didn't kill them. All of this was done with microphones to hear the prisoners inside. There were no windows to monitor them as they were unaware of what the test subjects would do afterward. The bunker was stocked with dried food, enough to last them a month. There were books and cots to sleep on, but with no bedding, a toilet, and running water. Everything was provided to them. During the experimentation, the 5 days for the prisoners were easy to handle as there were no abnormal activities, nor sounds, or screams, and there were no complaints from the subjects. All their conversations and activities were closely monitored, but after the 4th day, we noted that almost all their conversations were about traumatic incidents from their past and that their conversations had become dark. After 5 days, they began to complain regarding the circumstances and events that lead them to where they were and began to demonstrate severe paranoia. They stopped talking to one another and began alternately whispering into the microphones as the gas has started to affect their mental health. All of them appeared to assume they might win our trust by turning over their comrades, the other subjects in captivity with them, by telling us their secrets. Initially, the researchers suspected that this was due to the gas. On the 9th day, all we heard were screams of a subject who was continuously roaming around the chamber, but after a while, he was unable to scream or produce any noise. We figured that due to excessive screaming, he had torn his vocal cords. While all this was happening, the other subjects remained unbothered, as if nothing is happening around them and there was absolutely no activity. They continued to whisper into the microphones until another subject started to scream. The two subjects who were silent would take book after book and would take them apart page by page. They would smear the pages with their feces and would paste them calmly over the glass portholes. We were shocked by their behavior, and it was something we had not anticipated. We were thinking of how this behavior was caused when all of a sudden the bunker went silent. There was no one screaming and the whispering had stopped. 3 more days had passed, and we would check the microphones hourly to make sure if they were working, as we thought a room couldn't be dead silent with 5 people inside. We were sure that all the subjects were alive because the oxygen consumption inside indicated that the consumption amount was as if they had gone through a heavy level of strenuous exercise. As the 14th day arrived, we had to take measures into our own hands, and we did something we had decided we would not do, but to get the reaction of the subject, we used the intercoms inside the chamber, hoping to provoke them, as we thought all of them had died. I remember what I said on the microphone that day, every word of it, because the reply that we had gotten shook us to our core. We are opening the bunker doors to test the microphones inside. Step away from the door and lie flat on the ground, or you will be shot. Compliance with these orders will earn one of them with their freedom.
We no longer want to be freed.
After their response, we had a debate with the general who was funding this project. He wanted the experimentation to continue, but we did not get any responses from the subjects and found it to be useless. We had reached a decision, which was to open the bunker of the facility at midnight on the 15th day. The soldiers that were ready to go in were unaware and had no idea that what would they be facing inside. The entire bunker was flushed off the stimulant and clean fresh air was pumped in. As soon as the fresh air started to fill up the chamber, the voices from the microphones started to reappear. 3 of the subjects started to beg to turn the gas back on. The way they sound doesn't seem to all that it was human voice, and they had started to scream in an unusual way. Imagine entering a room full of blood and humans who are turned into flesh eaters, and the walls of the room is patched with meat chunks all over, dripping like blood from the walls. When the soldiers went in, they saw blood on the floor with meat chunks spread all over the place. They were in. One of the soldiers found the ear of a test subject torn apart, covered in blood. One of the test subjects was dead, lying in his own blood. Half of the body was torn apart as if an animal has eaten it, while the others were hardly alive with absolutely no chances of living.
Thank you for watching part 1 of our bone-chilling tale of soldiers trapped in a secret experiment. Stay tuned for part 2, where the stakes get even higher and the horrors keep coming. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the Wicked Majesty channel for more thrilling stories. See you next time. Sleep tight and don't let the shadows bite.